Tesla, I mean, as we showed last week on Battleground, we put up a graph when we spoke to Mark Mills, which was, these are Volkswagen's figures, right? It's a graph taken from the figures that Volkswagen put out that show that you've got to drive a Tesla for at least 100,000 kilometres before it becomes less, it has a smaller carbon footprint than, say, a Toyota Hilux diesel. And that's because it comes with such a huge carbon debt. 139 kilos of minerals go into that battery, which requires excavating hundreds of tons of earth. So before it even gets to showroom, it's got a lot of carbon to offset, whereas a diesel has some carbon to offset manufacturing, but it's a lot less.
Hundreds of tons of earth.
250 tons of earth. I'm giving away my column for Monday.
You read it here first.
I mean, this would be news to somebody like Chris Bowen, who's probably never been near any mine in his life. But anybody who's been remotely involved with mining knows that, the lithium or whatever you get out of it is only a tiny proportion of the dirt you've got to dig out of the ground, right? Large quantities of dirt have to come out and they have to go through a refining process, which just happens to be one of the most energy expensive things we do in Australia, actually, is mining. So all that goes on just to get that little 139 kilos of minerals for your battery. And then they go in the battery and you're all set to go, except you've got to drive 100,000 kilometres. And that's even assuming that because you're only allowed to charge that Tesla for about an hour and a half each day, at that point in the middle of the day when there's so much solar that you can guarantee that's 100% renewable in there. I think these little details, we've had such an oversimplified debate, haven't we? Dumbed-down debate.
That's right. And oversimplified is the word. That's right.
If I tried to say this on ABC Q&A, nobody would believe me. I'd be booed. They'd say, "Oh, that can't be right." But these are all reputable figures. I mean, they're from the ABS. Those figures we just put up.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, they don't want to know about it. No. And the other bit of the narrative you're not mentioning is what do you do with the car when it's useless? When the battery's no longer usable, you're going to bury it in the ground. Those are toxic chemicals in that thing. Anyway, let's talk about gas. Let's talk about gas because gas prices are increasing as well as the cost of energy as a result of renewable. But who's Chris Bowen blaming for the increase in gas prices?
Well, for a while he was blaming Vladimir Putin, of course, which I call the Putin ate my homework excuse. And he still does when he gets a chance. It's Putin's fault for his war. But the thing is, we can blame Putin for some big things, right? Like human rights abuses, like having people shot in the street, like forcing them out of windows, and of course the big one, invading Ukraine. I mean, sure, he's to blame for that. But I don't think Putin had anything to do with persuading Dan Andrews to put a moratorium on exploring gas, right? And yet that's what's driving prices here, is lack of supply. And Putin, I don't think, had anything to do with the greenies in the New South Wales court that are delaying the Narrabri mine for as long as they possibly can through lawfare. So in the end, our energy price is here because of shortage, and the shortage is entirely self-inflicted.